left. Simon Thompson starts.
Barbecue chicken, please. Guest in line. Make that two. Hi, please.